just here for the comments.
Actually, I'm just here for the comments.
I'm here for the comments.
I'm just here for the comments.
I'm just here for the comments.
I am strictly here for the comments.
Hey man, look, I'm just here for the comments.
I am here for the comments, and you should be too.
Here for the Comments podcast with Canden and Maliek.
Also, I think it's important to let them know that even though we're being supported and driven by the Passion for Christ movement, I don't see this as a compromise, but like, we're not here just to do Bible study every week, have pastors come talk to you. You know, I think what we're trying to embody is, yes, we are Christians, but we want to embody Christians engaging all sectors of life. So rather than having only Christian guests and only addressing topics that Christians are talking about, we want to show what it looks like for Christians to go into all spaces. So we'll have a lot of different interesting people on as far as guests, and we're not scared to touch any topic.
Word.
Speaking of topics, in the news this week, once again, we're going to do a short episode for you guys this week, but I'm sure if you were online, you have not, there's no way you could have missed everyone talking about the Queen's funeral. Miss Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul, passed recently. She had a 2-day funeral.
Yeah. It was quite a many hours, but those of you who are familiar with church in any sort of Baptist or cultural perspective, you would probably be able to relate to the length of this funeral, which I did not watch all of it. I'm not even going to lie to y'all. I did not watch all of the funeral because I just don't have that type of time, but I watched a good deal of it, and it was Auntie Aretha's funeral, you know, seriously. Okay, let's talk about some things that happened at the funeral. From your standpoint, Maliek, as a guy, this whole, you know, preacher, Pastor Ellis and Ariana thing, what was your take on that?
Yeah, so I'm just going to speak initially from when I first saw it. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, that's the typical creepy preacher guy who realizes that he has power in this situation. We have a church setting, we have a funeral, he's presiding to a certain extent. And I just saw it as him taking advantage of his power to touch whoever. And once again, I just saw that moment and I was like, yeah, he's in the power. Like, you know, a lot of times we talk about power dynamics and how being the majority, white people have power over a lot of other people because they're in the positions of power. But I think in that moment at Aretha's funeral, the Black people were in the majority. And I think sometimes when we do get that sense of power, we can sometimes take advantage of it and think we can touch and say and do whatever. So just my first impression when I saw it, I was like, yeah, he's taking advantage of the moment because he's the man of the cloth and he's leading this whole thing and she's a guest in quote unquote his space because it's a church. So I just thought he was being nasty, to be honest. That's what it looked like to me at first. Now, after hearing his apology, I didn't see the whole funeral, but he did say that he hugged everybody and he was trying to make them feel welcome. But I think once again, what made it even worse was him kind of downplaying her and saying that he thought Taco Bell when he saw her name on the program. Like, even if you thought that, that's just not helpful to share.
Yeah.
It seems like he is living in his own little bubble. Like, I'm a Black male, but I know who Ariana Grande is. And, you know, she's dated Black guys in the past. So it's not like she's completely withdrawn from our culture. But I feel like it seems like he's so immersed in church culture that he didn't recognize who he was talking to. Because, I mean, she's an international artist. She's nobody to cough at. So, yeah. What'd you think?
I just kind of feel like it was like any awkward funeral that you go to in Black culture. I feel like we've gone to several. I feel like everyone can relate to going to funerals where you're like, why was this person chosen to do the eulogy? And what is he doing up there? And like, is he drunk? And I feel like that is exactly what this funeral was. And regardless of if it was Aretha, Aretha, it was a high profile funeral. I will give it that, of course, with all the stars and it being for Aretha Franklin, of course, the Queen of Soul. However, I just feel like, I feel like he was unlearned. Like you said, like I don't feel like he was trying to be necessarily fresh with her, if I could just use that word from like whenever that word originated. That throwback word. I don't feel like he was necessarily trying to be fresh. I feel like, and some people gonna be mad. Y'all gonna be mad, but just go ahead, comment, whatever you want to say to me, DM me. I feel like Ariana is little, and y'all gonna think I'm crazy, but I feel like if anyone, because I've seen awkward things that men have done before. Mm-hmm. And it's like they stick to it, even though like you say, you do an awkward thing and you're like, oh, this is awkward. But then you don't really know. His whole interaction with her was just awkward to me. The joke, everything. It was just like he was trying to be very comfortable, but he was also very nervous. And then him like grabbing her, trying to like seem like he was even pulling her close, like digging himself deeper and deeper into a hole because of the fact that he had already, you know what I'm saying? So I really don't feel like it was a sexual. What I will say is I don't feel like it was a sexual thing. I feel like she's little. Her breasts are literally right there. If I put my arm around her, I'm going to hit her breast. Like, I'm just going to present y'all a different type of perspective. If I literally put my arm around her, I will be touching her breast because she's teeny. So I just don't feel like he was trying to grope her on national television, because who is dumb enough to do that? I feel like he shouldn't have done it, and he should be corrected. And it's fine that everybody's like coming for him, like, hey, show some couth, whatever. But I just don't feel like the man did that on purpose, because that would have been really dumb. If anything, he would have approached her like, hey, girl, after, or in private, or I just don't feel like people do that on purpose. So I just can't believe that. You know, I believe him when he's like, yeah, I wasn't thinking. And then he was like, yeah, you know, I'm hosting, I'm trying to tell a joke. It just was a poor joke. And he's just unlearned. Just like the person who did the eulogy. I feel like these pastors are stuck in a time capsule, and they need to come up out. Like, you're stuck in a time capsule. And you just need to learn more about the world and know, like, okay, this might not have been appropriate, and know how to deal with it a little bit better. But they're like our Baptist deep woods uncle preachers, and that's who they chose to do this ceremony. And I feel like this is a result, because it was just way too much controversy on so many ends having to do with the clergymen. Get it together, y'all. Get it together, clergymen.
Yeah, you know, I think ultimately we can't. So I'm not saying definitively that he did it with the sexual intent, because I don't know that. I feel like we can't judge the heart. Ultimately, it's going to be a matter of the heart. So I don't know what his intentions were. I just know when I saw it, it looked similar to other things I had seen. Just people with power taking advantage of a situation. So yeah, you know, and she is small too. So I think what you're saying is valid too. She's small. I do think she pulled away. She looked awkward and uncomfortable too.
Yeah, because women don't like to be touched. Don't touch us, and especially if we don't know you. You don't just be touching us. I don't care how familiar you think you are.
And maybe that's I think also it can be chalked up to it's a Black church thing. That's very welcoming. Hi. Come on, good to see you, baby. Give me a hug, give me a kiss, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, your grandpa.
Right. You know, and people are doing it to make you feel welcome. But I think this delves into just how our culture has changed in 2018, and how I do think in an effort to correct some of the mistakes of the past, we've become hypersensitive too. So now it's like nobody can't say or do nothing without people making a scene or calling something there that's not really there. I do think that happens sometimes too. I'm not going to say that that's what's happening here, but we are hypersensitive, and I think we make scenes where there don't have to be scenes because we're assuming hearts. But of course, we can't judge hearts.
Oh, that's good. Assuming hearts. You're so deep, Malik. What else happened at the funeral? I mean, the eulogy was terrible. I didn't really. I feel like preachers need to start using storyline, like, strategy, setting, climax, resolution. Why you are ranting the whole hour about whatever it is that comes to your mind and what you want to say, like, I don't feel like that's the time to do that. And even though I understand it from a cultural standpoint, it's no longer, times are changing, and you need to reach people with an actual structured sermon. And so that's the part that agitated me. It's not like, oh, his beliefs. Your beliefs are your beliefs. You feel how you feel. But, like, why are you ranting? Why was there no, like, deep thought, like, put into eulogizing the memory of Aretha Franklin? But I will say in his defense that once again, I'm going to stick to this point, most funerals that I've been to from a cultural standpoint, I'm always sitting there like, now, why was this person chosen to do the eulogy? In general, that's why I'm like, this was Auntie Aretha's funeral. Because I'm literally like, I'm thinking about funerals I went to, like, this eulogy is not good. So, I don't know, maybe your experience is different. Maybe you've been to a lot of funerals where the eulogy was like on point. But I would say most of the funerals I've been to, not that I've been to a lot, thank God, the eulogy was subpar.
Yeah, so I didn't hear the whole sermon. Most of my friends on social media were criticizing it. Even people who I typically disagree with when it comes to preaching text from the Bible, even they were saying that the sermon was just bad. I didn't hear it in context. However, I did hear the clip of him saying that a Black woman cannot raise a Black boy to be a man. As a man who is, and my brother can testify to this as well, but as a Black man who was raised by a single Black mother, of course, with the help and input and guidance of different men in the community and church. However, she took the brunt of the work herself. And I feel like we came out pretty good. We popping out here.
I mean, you're right.
You know, so, I definitely don't. I disagree. I disagree with the notion that a Black woman can't do that. I think she can, especially guided by God. I think with God, all things are possible. So it seems like an insurmountable task, but it is possible. I'm living proof of that. So I disagree with that, but I do think there are some nuances that a woman may have a hard time understanding or relating to, that it will be helpful for a father figure or a man to step in. But the interesting thing is, and once again, I didn't hear the whole thing, so he might have gotten to this, but immediately when I heard that clip, I thought, you really can't go there without addressing the fact of why these women are single mothers to begin with. And it goes back to the Black man. So it's like, if he's not in the picture, he's putting her in this position. And unfortunately, I know a lot of guys my age and older who lay down and make kids and then they aren't around to raise them. So we're forcing these Black women to be single mothers. So it's a bit short-sighted to make a statement like that and not address the Black men that created that circumstance. But also, I saw Aretha's family released a statement saying that his sermon was disrespectful or insensitive. So it's like, and from my understanding, she was a single mother for certain portions of her life. So he just seemed aloof is the word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the clergymen in general that were leading this funeral were aloof. But the family picked him. That's the thing, because he had done the father's funeral 34 years earlier. And the thing is, you are in a time capsule. You just need to come out and spend time with people of different age groups and leave the same town that you've been in for years and years and years and see a little bit more of the world so that you can have a educated, and culturally inclusive view on what you're saying at this funeral, and actually tie Aretha's life in with it. You know what? I'm not even upset at this funeral. To be honest with you, I'm not upset at the funeral because, like I said, it's like the barbecue that you take your new friend to, and your uncle gets drunk and he just starts cussing at everybody out. It's like, it is what it is. This is the reflection. We say hey, we're upset that this was the representation because it's not a reflection of how we actually feel. But this is a segmented representation of our culture, a very real representation of it. And those two pastors, and I'm not saying that they're not good pastors, that they're not men of God who serve the Lord. They are, in my opinion, they're in a time capsule. And I think that is relevant. There are clergymen, there are not even clergymen, our uncles, everybody who is just they have their views and they're not going to change them even though the times merit it. So I'm sitting up watching the funeral. I'm like, great. Let's talk about something good though. I mean, the songs were bomb. I love those. Ariana's dress was whatever to me. Every time I see her, she looks like she did at the funeral, and she's consistent.
Yeah, she's been doing it. So I'm like, y'all thought she was gonna switch it up for y'all?
She had her signature ponytail, girl, the swivel ponytail, and her dress. That's how she do. Like, I don't know what y'all thought. Like, she's not going to change who she is because she's coming to Aretha's funeral. I felt like the representation of how many people, celebrities, were in the same place at the same time celebrating someone's life was super impactful. And just like us being able to come together, even us as a culture watching it together, is amazing to me. So there are some positive things, but like, yeah, it was just a barbecue, y'all. Like it was Aretha's, like, I don't know what to say,
Yeah. Well, in addition to that, folks is big mad about Nike and Colin Kaepernick. So I know the tagline for this, you got this black and white photo of him zoomed in on his eyes, and it says, believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. So the new Nike Just Do It campaign, they chose to make Kaepernick the face. People cutting the Nike swoosh off their shorts, burning shoes. And I think they all look stupid. What you think?
I'm really proud of corporations that make a stand in one way or another. So when I saw the campaign, many people were tweeting it and putting it on Instagram and everything. When I saw it yesterday, I was like, that was my response. I love it because it's just like, I feel like there is redemption for your sacrifice. And I feel like in a way, and you can say, I mean, I know a lot of my brothers and sisters would say, well, sis, these corporations, they just want to make money. They like controversy, blah, 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 blah. To me, it's irrelevant. Like, I feel like there's going to be redemption for people who make huge sacrifices. And for Kaepernick in particular to like, be like, yeah, I just can't with a good conscience continue to be in this NFL game and not take a stand for something that I can see is going on. That is just really not just, even though it cost me my endorsements, it cost me like teammates, it cost me millions of dollars maybe. I just feel like this is redemption. And I really appreciate the stance that Nike is taking in that regard. So I liked it a lot. I love seeing the retweets and the reposts of it. And yeah, I hope people just stop burning things. First of all, why are you burning things? It's weird. Like you're crazy. And like throw them away if you don't want them. Like, why are you burning?
Or give them to homeless veterans, since you're so patriotic and it's about honoring the flag in the country. Instead of burning stuff up, give it to the veterans that you love so much who are in need.
No, they would never do that because they're like, well, this Nike's against veterans, so we're not going to give you. But it's just like, it's not. I don't understand why people have to be one-dimensional. Can you not love your country and love the flag and still realize that there is a lot of injustice that happens regarding certain things? Like, come on, read the second verse of the national anthem. It was not made for people who were Black. Like, we were enslaved. It clearly says that we were, and that they wanted us to stay that way. So we don't have to observe things that don't serve us. And if you can't love your country and still realize, like, hey, there was some jacked up stuff that we all did, like, I feel very sorry for you, because it's like, just because you love something, you're going to ignore everything that they did that was damaging and traumatizing to a whole culture of people. And not even just one culture of people, several different ethnic cultures were damaged by our American history. And it's like, we just refuse to acknowledge it over and over again. And it's just kind of like, at some point you got to come to the fact that, like, yeah, I'm a veteran. Yeah, I love my country. But, if you choose that, you think this doesn't serve you on a cultural level, because I've never been Black, I've never been Asian, whatever it is that you've never been, then at least you can respect it. At least you can be like, oh, okay, I don't feel what that brother feels, but hey, he's allowed to do what he wants.
Yeah. It's frustrating to me because it's like, I went to school, got 2 degrees. I work at a university. I wear suits a lot of the times. And with these things, it's often perceived as the quote unquote exceptional Black male. I'm not often labeled as a thug or violent or the stereotypical Black male. And what's frustrating is that even with those quote unquote good things, it's like you still are the N-word to some people. And it's like no way around it. No matter how good or how right you do something, it's just people in our culture still find a way to make it negative because it centers the Black experience. And I think when you center the Black experience, people just get bent out of shape. So you got Colin Kaepernick, who's a millionaire, star athlete. He went to a veteran to ask him what is the best way to make a statement about this, but still honor the veterans. The veteran told him that kneeling was the best option. He didn't fight. He didn't cuss. He kneeled, and he still is getting like torn up in the media, and people are getting all bent out of shape. And it's like he did everything the right way, and y'all still can't act right. And it's just like, it's frustrating because it doesn't matter what you're protesting or how you do it or whatever. I just don't think any of those things matter. I just feel like, and not everybody, but I think at the root of this, people have not and do not, specifically, a lot of times it's white people, conservative white people. They don't want to take the time to understand our experience or put thought into it or think deeply about it. And what people do is they do these dog whistles. So he's saying, I'm kneeling because of injustice and the killing of unarmed Black men. And what they do is, and they say, well, no, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna say that you hate the flag, because I know if I throw that dog whistle out there, that'll rally my army against you. So because I don't support what you're arguing, I'm gonna purposely miscommunicate your message just to rally people against you. And unfortunately, it works every time.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like people are just so small. I don't know that they can't really feel like, okay, you can have your point. Like you can have your cultural experience and it doesn't have to reflect good on mine, and I can still have my self-esteem. Like, you know, you're not, if I say, you know, Black Lives Matter, or if I say, hey, this doesn't serve me, there's a lot of injustice going on in this country, and I'm going to choose to kneel, because that somehow in your head sounds like you're a slave master and you are the one who, whatever, if you're not Black, if you are the majority, then it becomes like a war of who can make the best point of who can attack who. And it's just like,
Yeah.
accepted. Like it doesn't have to be be a reflection of you personally, but people take it very personally. People who were uninjured take it very personally, and I've never really understood that. But I do get humans and how humans are and how we can get defensive when we think what it means is. And I think that's the experience outside of the Black community. It's like we think that this is saying this, and so now we're defensive and we're going to throw something back, as opposed to just accepting it and being like, yeah, sure. Like, sure, I get it. It doesn't make me feel good that the country is not united, but honestly, beneath the surface, the country has never been united like that.
Right.
So anyways, Cap, Serena, you know, love y'all.
I'm gonna throw this out there. So if it happens, I can try to argue that I should get some royalties or some of the money. But I think this is really going to piss some people off. But I do think they need to get him a shoe. And just like the Jordans had the Jumpman, they need to get shoes with the logo of Kaepernick kneeling. And that'll be the logo. That will be hot. I would buy all of them. Just saying. So you got
the people in the boardroom at Nike. Somebody tweeted.
Yes, and give me a percentage.
Okay. Yep. Go ahead and make your deal here. Make it. All right, cool. So we're gonna transition just a little bit into our topic portion, and I think this is really, really befitting for like this time. I know I've been looking around at a lot of the people I'm connected to, and I'm seeing that like relationships and friendships just don't look the same. And I know, Malik, this was something that you kind of wanted to talk about as far as like how our friendships changing, you know, in the millennial age. Like, do we even consider them the same? Or do we have as many friends as we once had before? Is our perspective on what makes a good friend different now that we're older? As we get older, are we losing friends left and right? So we kind of would want to hear if you, as a listener, have have impact or not impact, an idea of what you think about this, feel free to send us your commentary as well. We would love to explore it, but let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, so I'm actually writing on this. It's still on the early stages, so I don't want to say too much, but I'm writing on this deeply, and there will be something out in the future. But I want to say that, yeah, as far as friendships, so I think, and I don't want to mischaracterize your experience as a female, but I feel like women have it better as far as friendships, just because y'all at least, and this is not making a blanket statement, but saying what's normative. Y'all find refuge in each other. Y'all share more than just general things, but sometimes share how you're feeling and so on and so forth, and experiences that are affecting your life. And that gives you some level of support. I think it's kind of natural for men to be very surface with each other. So like guys will consider or say that's bro or my best friend or whatever the case may be, but still not really know what's going on in each other's life and not feel comfortable sharing those things. So like there's a professor, I think is it USC or UCLA? He created something called the communication pyramid. And I think it's more of a triangle though. But if you just imagine at the top is level 4, which is cliches like what's up, how are you, all is well. In church we say I'm blessed and highly favored, just sharing cliches. That's number 4.
God is good all the time.
Yeah, God is good all the time God is good. So just sharing cliches. And then under level 4 is level 3, which is sharing facts. You see the game, the Eagles lost last night. Just exchanging information. And then under level 3 is level 2, which is sharing your thoughts and your opinions on or your feelings on those things, thoughts, feelings, opinions on the facts. So that's a little deeper. And then at the very bottom is level 1, which is who you are, sharing who you are. And I think more often than not, men camp out up top at level 4 and 3. And guys will be friends for 15, 20 years and still stay at level 4 and 3. There's a lot of factors that go into that. I think there are some elements of toxic masculinity, some elements of feeling pressure to just be good, go hard, and stable all the time. And I think that makes friendships very hard to create and sustain for us because we don't really know each other and we never really have an avenue to do so. And once again, there's a lot that goes into that, but I think we have it a little bit harder than y'all.
I wouldn't disagree. I wouldn't disagree with that. I think that, yeah, men, from what I've heard, will tend to stay on a little bit more of a surface level with the conversation and communication. But I also think that, and I think women are a little bit better at it, but I also think women can have superficial friendships as well. Mm-hmm. And like we segment our friendships to who we want to tell something deep to, and who is just like, oh, that's just my friend who I go hang out with, or who I talk about, stuff that surface level things with, or like we have categories for our friends. And I think most of the time that's why you have, women who choose a bestie, and that is like the person that you maybe can do all of those levels with, but not everybody is like welcomed into that circle. And that's how you get like superficial friendships. So I think that exists as well among women in both genders, and it just looks differently, as you were saying. But I think also you grow, like from season to season, you grow into the newness of identifying who you are in that time. And then some of your friendships are going to naturally drop off because those people don't relate to you in the same way. Maybe they're not growing in the same way. So I think definitely as you age, your friendships are going to thin out. But I also think that the ones that are maintained are going to be much more meaningful. And then you're going to open up space to have new awesome friendships. And I think even loneliness is a part of being a Christian. It's like a very necessary part of like your life as a believer as well. So there's going to be a season where you don't necessarily have all the friendships that you once had. And it's up to you to just realize that, hey, that's the trajectory of my life as a believer in this kind of top period of time, as opposed to like letting it reflect on you, like, oh, all my friends abandoned me, or I have no friends, or whatever, because sometimes you will need time alone too. So I
So
think
are you
that's
saying that like you think seasons of isolation are normal or good as a part of the Christian life?
I think that they're necessary.
Yeah.
I think that they're necessary, according to what I know about Jesus's life. And I don't think that a lot of them is necessary. I think sometimes you are self-isolating. But I think 1 or 2 seasons of isolation is definitely biblically sound, because even Jesus had to experience that. Like, oh, my friends are here with me, but they can't really even stay awake. Oh, my friends just told everybody they don't know me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what he endured, and I think you're gonna have to endure it too. And it doesn't mean like they're terrible human beings. It means that they're fallible, and that sometimes you're gonna have to spend time with God alone and not be distracted by your squad, your crew. And so I think friendships definitely change as you age, as you get closer to finding out who you are and what your purpose is. Um, yeah, man. So squad up. Yes, squad life. Okay. Hashtag squad. However, there are some times when, you'll have to be like, all right, I'll catch y'all, next go round. And that's cool. That's normal. That's like what needs to happen. So I do believe in both of those things.
Well, to close that out, I'll speak to it last, but I want to get your thoughts. With that in mind, what do you think about cutting people off? Is there room for that? Is that justifiable?
Cutting people off. I don't really know what that means. I mean, I've heard people say that, like, yeah, cut off. I think that's something that people say out of pride. Like, I'm cutting people off. What does that even mean? Like, if you, there would be no real reason for you to cutting people off indicates to me that there was a meaningful relationship that is no longer meaningful to you because the person did you dirty. To me, that's what it sounds like people are saying when they say that. And if that's a true, accurate statement of what they're feeling inside, I would say you just need either reconciliation or to heal from whatever it is that happened. And then you can move on with your life. I don't have a problem with you not engaging any longer in relationships that don't serve you. So if that's what cutting people off means, but I just feel like the term cutting people off is
It's a negative connotation.
Yeah, it's full of pride. It's like, oh, I'm going to cut you off because I don't need you. And like, okay, like you were not willing to address the issues that came up as a result of that friendship, or you addressed them and maybe they weren't received well. And now you're still mad. I just feel like it's an angry, like prideful type of thing. Even though we try so hard to make it seem like it isn't. Like, yeah, I'm cutting off whoever doesn't serve me, but I'm good. And just like I just feel like do everything in love. And if someone really, really hurt you, then it's okay not to be friends with them anymore. But I think you just need to deal with that unforgiveness that you have. Mm-hmm. That's my view on it.
Yeah. So I think it's definitely both and, right? There's an unhealthy way, and then there is, I think, a justifiable way. But just in short, just because we're sinful, I think that we all have the tendency to talk ourselves into the things and the relationships that we shouldn't be in. And we talk ourselves out of the relationships that we should be in at the time that is opportune for us, depending on what our goals are. So sometimes we can't trust our own selves.
Yeah, man. Listen, that's real. That's so real. But listen, I think if you're embracing that lonely place of like, hey, I'm not the same person I used to be, and that is the reason why you are withdrawing. I think a better thing is you withdraw, not cutting people off, but you are trying to get whatever it is that you need outside of that person. I'm okay with that. I'm totally fine with that. And I think everybody has those moments, so listen, let's do it. But tell us what you think. You think cutting people off is like so necessary, or you think it's like, I mean, it's just people say. Do you think friendships are important depending on what age you're in, or are you more of a loner? Are you more of an introvert? Go ahead and DM us. You can DM us at the P4CM Instagram account. It is at P4CM DM, and message us what you think. Message us your comment, and we'll read some of them maybe the next time we meet.
Yeah, and of course questions that we can answer on next week's episode. So yeah, hit us up through the at P4CM Instagram account. We'd love to hear from you. This is our close.
Yeah, guys, I
didn't have like a smooth transition, so I just figured
we're gonna give you that one. This is cool. We're having a party. We had our party. Our party is coming to an end, guys.
You ain't gotta go home, but
if you are home, cool. If you're on the road, cool. You can stay wherever you are. That's the beauty of a podcast. We're so happy though that you tuned in, that you decided to spend this 45 or so minutes listening to us and joining us and inserting your own commentary, being here for the comments ultimately. Definitely we'll have ways for you guys to subscribe on the P4CM site, and feel free to message us your listener questions, topics you want us to talk about, and even recap of the topics that we've talked about today. And we'll be back on a pretty regular basis, and we'll kind of work that out, and we'll be kind of telling you guys, okay, look for it here and look for it there. And we're going to try to just be as available as possible to include you guys, because we're here for the comments and we know you are too.
Subscribe on iTunes at Here for number 4, the comments with Canden and Maliek. This is us signing off. Have a great week, weekend, life, and such.
Become part of the show by sending in your listener letters to h4cpod@p4cm.com, and you can get a response on next week's show. That's h4cpod@p4cm.com.